Couy Griffin, wearing chaps and a fox cape, organized the ride on Facebook, where he and other New Mexicans flew to D.C. and worked with horse ranchers in Maryland and Pennsylvania to ride from Cumberland, Maryland, along the C&O Canal to Arlington National Cemetery. Griffin, who is a county commissioner, said his family has been directly affected by the endless surge of immigrants coming across the border, eventually selling land that had been in the family for generations. Griffin led the ride carrying a New Mexico flag, flanked by John Fox, who held an American flag, and shared his reason for joining the group. And we have videos of that at Breitbart News. This was a wildly popular story, so popular that the Cowboys for Trump ended up going to the White House. And with me to talk about it, live from CPAC, Couy Griffin. Great to have you on, sir.
Alex, thank you, sir. It's great to be on. I appreciate the opportunity.
And I promised the first question would be, that coat is absolutely fantastic. I'm not a trapper yet, though I'm thinking about becoming a trapper. How do you get one of those things?
You know, the skin, the fur that's on this coat, I mentioned I trapped all this hides myself. And
wow.
To be honest with you, whenever I was coming out here, I tried to shuck this jacket because I was going to go buy me a different, nicer jacket that wasn't like, well, I shouldn't say nicer, but wasn't so over the top.
Yeah.
I went to Shepler's. It was closed. I went to Cavender's. It had moved across town, and it was like every time I tried to buy a different jacket, the Lord would just go, "No, you got to wear the
you got to rock
shoulder."
This bad boy is something special. It's even got the beading on it. It's got the fringing. If you guys can't see it, then you're missing out. We're streaming live on our Facebook page today and on the front page at Breitbart.com. Talk to us about Cowboys for Trump. And your background, what you guys are doing, and the all the great publicity you've got recently.
Sure. I tell you what, Alex, the most special part of Cowboys for Trump is its grassroots as grassroots gets, buddy. It's it all just kind of came to fruition from an idea. That idea was expressed on a Facebook page. I created a GoFundMe account to try to generate a little bit of support in order to pay for our expenses coming out. I made a shout out. I got 12 guys to respond that are awesome. They're diverse. They're plumbers, well drillers, landscaper, repo guy. They're all Cowboys at heart. And so we flew out to D.C. It took a complete step of faith. Like you mentioned, we started the ride on the 15th whenever the president was faced with that tough decision that we knew he was going to come back under the gun on February 15th as far as our borders are concerned. So we just wanted to go out simply and solely as a sign of support for our president and let the president know that we had his back and that we supported him. So we began this ride on the 15th. Like you mentioned, and Breitbart covered, it finished in Washington, D.C. on the 22nd. Wonderful parade through town. D.C. Metro and Park Police were awesome. They shut all the intersections down, which allowed us to ride around. We were on Cloud 9 when we got there. Like you mentioned, we brought the president a cowboy hat that one of our Cowboys that rides with us, our original 13, that he made. We weren't able to get the hat to the president. There was a lot of middlemen that were wanting the hat to the president, as you can imagine, and we said no.
That's how this town works.
I'm the
guy who brings the president.
Yeah, if we get the president the cowboy hat, Ramey Harper, who made that hat, is going to hand the president that hat, and Ramey's 100% Cowboy. So
So then what happened?
So then we had a great ride. We were success, and we marked it up as a great success. We flew back on the 23rd at 6 o'clock in the morning. We flew back as soon as we touched down in El Paso. I was so glad to get home, man, and I stepped into the terminal. My phone blows up. It's Fox News in Manhattan, and they're wanting us on Fox and Friends that next morning. So I called the guys with the horses. I pointed them back to Manhattan. I said, let's do it. Send them to Manhattan. Me and 5 of the other guys, we turned right around out of the terminal, crawled right back on a flight. We flew to Baltimore. We leased a car in Baltimore because we couldn't even get a flight into the city. Leased a car in Baltimore. We drove down to Times Square. We got there about 4 o'clock in the morning. Saddled horses in the pouring rain. We went on Fox and Friends. We told our story. We showed the hat that we had made the president. Again, great.
What material was the hat?
It's beaver.
Yeah,
beaver.
That's standard for those of you.
But it's 100% beaver.
Those of you coastal elite, that's the standard cowboy. That's the best material. That's the premium material.
That's right.
Okay.
So we completed the Times Square leg of it. It was a major score. We broke. We all went our separate ways. I had to get back to New Mexico. Being a county commissioner, I had a very important meeting the next day I had to get to. So I'm sitting in the terminal in Newark. and my phone rings. It's a 202 number, DC number, and it's William Crozier out of the White House. And he tells me, he goes, "This Couy Griffin?" I say, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Couy," he goes, "the President Donald Trump was asking around for your phone number earlier, for your cell number." Yeah, I'm serious, man.
We've all been there.
Yeah, he goes, he's asking for your cell number. He goes, "If there's a number that shows up on your phone that says an unknown number," he says, "you make sure you get that call because it's probably the President of the United States." And as soon as he says that, Alex, my phone buzzes on the other line, and I look at it, and it says unknown number, and I went, holy smokes. And I'm there, I'm just sitting there by myself, you know, at the terminal. So I click over. There's a little gal on the other line she goes, "This is the office of the President of the United States," and Donald J. Trump is on the I'll start crying again, man. Donald J. Trump is on the other line, and he would like to speak to you. And man, emotion just overcame me.
So what did you talk about with the president?
You know, whenever I first began my conversation with the president, the first thing I told the president is I told him, I said, "Sir," I said, "I know that there's lots around you that are armchair quarterbacking you. I know that everybody's a critic of everything that you do, and many are probably telling you that you should be doing things differently. But I would like to speak on behalf of myself as well as millions others that think just like me. Keep doing exactly what you're doing because you're doing a great job."
Wow.
And, of course, he thanked me for that. And then I went on to say, I said, "And, sir, I'm not trying to butter you up with smooth words. I'm speaking from my heart whenever I say this." I said, "I truly do believe by the time you're done with your second term," I said, "I think Ronald Reagan is going to be standing in your shadow." I said, "I think you're going to be that kind of a president."
Well, you clearly know your audience. I think the president loves hearing that type of stuff.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. But I'm honestly, though, Alex, I'm not telling him that because I was trying to search for words
no,
he
it's
wanted
genuine.
to hear.
It's genuine. I can tell. I can tell. Yeah.
Because you know the reason why I say that is because he is the people's president.
Yes,
man.
absolutely. And this is the thing that he wears bespoke high-end suits. You wear a jacket that with animals that you've trapped yourself.
Right. That's
and
right.
He's your guy.
He's my
and
guy.
And how powerful is that? That this is a New York, Manhattan elite guy who is the voice of the ranchers at the border.
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
And that's why we're bringing him a hat, Alex. He told me, he said, "Come in, Couy." He goes, "Well, I'll receive you at the White House. We'll take the hat. We'll meet you guys." And I told him, "Mr. President, I got to get back to my state. I got an important meeting." I said, "But this summer, we will pick some warm weather, and we'll do this right again, and we'll bring you this hat this
And
summer."
is that set? Do we know when that is?
And date's not set yet.
Date's not set
Date's
yet.
not
Okay,
set
so
yet.
you'll come back and you'll talk to us about it when the date's set.
Absolutely.
Couy Griffin again is with me. Cowboys for Trump is the group. Let's talk about the situation at the border. You're down in the McAllen region, which is one of the
I'm not in McAllen. I was in McAllen whenever I was on this ranch, but I'm in New Mexico.
You're in New Mexico now.
My county line, my south end of my county butts up against El Paso, Texas, where they're processing a lot of these migrants and then just turning them loose.
Absolutely.
I've been flying out of the El Paso airport now for the last week or so, and I kid you not, man, you go through the terminal and it's like you see huge blocks of Guatemalans and groups that are flying out. Now, what's going on there? If they're walking up and they're coming out of the third world and they're poverty-stricken, who's buying their flight tickets and where are they going is what I would like to know. Because there's something going on. Another thing I noticed in the El Paso airport recently is lots of younger kids, like 14, 16, 18, 17-year-old kids, being chaperoned by two adults, and there's groups of 20 of them, and they're going and getting on airplanes. What's going on? Where are all these refugee or asylum seekers, if you want to call them asylum seekers, which you and I both know that asylum isn't wanting a better job and a more secure place to live.
No, these are economic migrants for the most part. There's not to say there isn't an asylum seeker among them, but these are economic migrants. These are people coming in, they want the jobs, they want to send money back home.
Yeah, asylum is fleeing persecution where you're going to die because of your religious or political affiliations.
Or be unfairly imprisoned, something like that. That's not what this is.
No. But the security board, the problem on our southern border is a growing and a changing problem. You know, my aunt and uncle, as you mentioned earlier, my family who's directly affected, my uncle's family owned a ranch right on the southern border for 4 generations. And for those 4 generations, they always had the illegals coming across. But the illegals that they had coming across in years past were migrant workers. They were adults. They were guys that were wanting to come work in the fields, or wanting to labor. And if with this kind of economy of illegals coming across, typically they probably had decent hygiene, and they were fairly healthy to come up to work.
Sure.
But what's going on now is much more high risk, because what we're having now are large families coming up, lots of children coming out, of unaccompanied children,
and we don't really know if they're even families or if they're on the fly families. If they're families,
but the fact of it is they're coming out of these third world countries where they live in squalor of Guatemala. They sleep in the bar ditches of Mexico, coming up through Mexico. Whenever they cross into our country, partner, they're full of scabies, lice, flesh-eating bacteria, diseases that our children have not been vaccinated for. Honestly, inside of our country, we have eradicated some of the diseases that we don't even vaccinate our children for now. But yet in these third world countries, those people still have those diseases, and they're coming in, and it's a health risk. It's a scary health risk right now, because I have a 4-year-old child, and he likes to go to McDonald's and play in the play area.
Sure.
Well, guess where all the migrant children that they just turned loose are going to be going to? They're going to be riding down the same slide as my child. And I don't say this to say something hateful about refugees, because you and I both know that we need immigration, and I'm sure that you probably feel the same way I do, that we're not anti-immigration, but we want vetted, right procedures in place. Whenever we have somebody come into our country, we want to make sure they're not covered in lice, that they're not covered in scabies, that they don't have flesh-eating bacteria.
And as the great Dennis Miller puts it, at least have the decency to sign the guest book if you're coming in. It's we don't know who's coming in or why or what, and it's just insane. We got about 30 seconds left. Couy Griffin, Cowboys for Trump. And any message to the politicians who are paying attention right now?
Put America first. Follow the lead of our president. Our president is a president of the people, and if more of our political leaders would put America first instead of their partisan party politics, our country would be much greater. And I will single out our governor of the state of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham. Quit playing our border as a partisan party politics.
Thanks, Couy Griffin.
Hey, thanks, Alex. Appreciate it, brother.